Hi guys, so Nadhim Zahawi, who has been bounced around from one job to the next more times than a substitute teacher, is now running to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. Zahawi, while well known in political circles, may not be all that familiar to members of the public, but what they do know about him will become increasingly embarrassing for the Tory candidate. Zahawi is a very rich man, and while he tries to sell the idea that he pulled himself up by his bootstraps because it sells well with the Tory membership, it isn't entirely true. Also, when it comes to money, the current Chancellor seems to be following in the footsteps of the previous one. Let's say he has some issues with taxes and offshore bank accounts. Have a listen to this.
Did claim for heating the stables where the horses were. You did pay it back. You said it was a mistake, but is that really the point?
It was a mistake because we bought, my wife and I, a cottage with a riding school.
Cottage. Cottage here is doing a lot of heavy lifting as a term. Now you can see here, this is the article from the Mirror back in 2013. Millionaire Conservative MP Nadhim Zahawi claimed for electricity bills at his stables. Now he's saying, we bought a little cottage, we bought a cottage and a riding school. He doesn't go into any more detail, of course, because it's a 31-acre country estate that he bought. And you can see on the map here, on the aerial image, the cottage he's talking about, which is probably much bigger than most, the average home in Britain. But for him, it's a cottage, so he's trying to downplay it. And of course, he doesn't mention that it's a 31-acre country estate. But let's get back to the electricity bill.
There was an electricity meter in the riding school. There was an electricity meter in the cottage. I was told by the...
Look, does this sound like somebody who's telling the truth? Does he sound like somebody who's been honest? Or does he sound like somebody who has been caught out, who has been discovered to have been doing something they shouldn't have been doing, and they're trying to excuse it? Because, if you're telling the truth, you don't stutter like this. If you're trying to cover a lie, you're more likely to stutter like this.
The then chief whip that you should claim for you're allowed to for your basic running costs. It's the right thing to do, even if you don't think you need it. I put in the claim, genuine mistake, not realizing that actually, although there was 2 meters, it was coming in on a single bill. When it became public, there was an full investigation into this by the parliamentary authorities. They could see it was a genuine mistake, and they agreed with me that it was a complete error, mistake, and of course I apologised and repaid it.
Embarrassed?
Of course, deeply embarrassing, but it was a genuine mistake. It's much better to admit and demonstrate than to do anything else.
So, nothing to see here. Look, he charged an expense at a riding school that he owns. I don't know why he was charging at a riding school in the first place, because shouldn't he be charging from his home unless he was registered to live there or to work there? But there was a mistake. He apologized and he paid it back. So there's nothing else to see here. Okay, done and dusted, story finished. Well, not quite, because there's another story from 2013. It says here, Warwickshire Tory MP Nadhim Zahawi used firm in tax haven to buy his £1 million home. Nadhim Zahawi linked to wealth management company in Gibraltar. This is the guy who's currently the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Like the previous one, he seems to have some issues with tax havens, either directly or indirectly. This idea that he, according to this newspaper, he used a tax haven to buy his £1 million home. This is somebody who presents himself as a patriot. Yes, I pulled myself up from my bootstraps. I'm a self-made man. I didn't get help. I didn't get help from my family who were rich. This is the type of person who's running for Prime Minister. I think the bar has been set very low because of Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson pretty much in the same boat. But these people try to present themselves as, People who started out with nothing and have become wealthy because of hard work or because they're better than everyone else, intelligently or in some way in regards to business. And they avoid, and they find ways to avoid paying tax, which allows them to accumulate even more wealth. And at the same time, these people will be responsible for cutting public services or introducing new taxes that will harm the poor and the working class. All the while helping their friends who are the rich and powerful. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.